Hi guys.
Hey.
Hi everyone. I'm just admitting a lot of people in a row here, so I'll just keep doing this until we have hopefully everybody in.
Unmute.
Mm-hmm.
Stop video. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're just going to keep admitting people, guys. So if you can just sort of bear with me, I've started slightly early to make sure we're a bit ahead, letting people in as you come. But welcome, thanks for joining us. I'm going to give it another 2-3 minutes of participants to keep joining, and then we'll get going. Can you hear me okay, everyone, so far? If you can give me a thumbs up for those I can see on the screen. Perfect, thanks. The list is building. Rose in. Okay, we've still got people coming. I'm just going to keep letting everyone in, and then we can get going. Certainly got people from all over the world here, which is great to see. I'm going to give it one more minute here of people to enter, and then we'll get going.
Adrian, we're likely to get better performance if we don't all video or show our own videos, or?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that on the intro, actually, that once we start, everyone switch their video off for sure.
Yep, okay, cheers.
I've unmuted you, Mohamed, in case.
Sorry?
I've unmuted you, so nobody else. I have to mute everybody else to make sure it's not lots of noise, but you are now able to talk.
So
we know you're here somewhere. Right. Afternoon. All right. Well, I'm going to go for it, guys. I'm just going to keep admitting people as I see them coming, but I think it'd be good to just get going here. So, thank you everyone for coming in and tuning into this in this very unusual time. But hopefully, we've got something really, interesting for you in store here, and something to keep you, fired up and excited about squash, even though we actually can't get close to the courts now. So just a couple of things. First of all is I'll keep upsetting the invites over this next period. And once I share my screen with you all so that you can all see the match that we're going to look at, it would be great if you can all turn off your videos, because I think it will help the playback be quicker. At this stage, it should be okay, but when I play a video and I share a screen with you, it can slow down. So I apologize if the speed of the PSA TV playback is a bit slow, but if you turn off your videos, that will help for speed, I think, what I've been told. And I'm going to keep you all muted for now, just so it's nice and quiet and you can hear Mohamed and I talking. And then perhaps right at the end, I'll kind of switch you all off and you can say hello and so on. And then during the final period of this, any of the questions that you have for Mohamed, we can do in the chat, but I'll let you know about that when we get there. So we're going to, as you probably know, we're going to watch through some of the match from Canary Wharf, the last event of this period. So a pretty timeful one, I suppose. Obviously an incredible match as well for those of you that have seen it. Hopefully lots of you have. Mohamed versus Ali Farag. So, the idea here is to watch through the match and just pick out a few key bits and really get some, really interesting insights from Mohamed about that match, and also give an opportunity to ask him some questions about anything else that's going on in the squash, and I'll leave that open to you guys at the end. So first of all, obviously we are really, really lucky, very, very fortunate to have the world number one on this call with us, and the opportunity to be able him to share with us some insights of to perhaps what he's up to now, but also what went on in this match. So I want to say a huge thank you for Mohamed, to Mohamed in advance of this. I'm sure you will all share my views on that, and you can see your thank yous at the end. So can you hear me okay, Mo? Do you want to just say a quick hello to everyone?
Hi everyone. I hope everyone is well in these weird times we live in right now. Thanks for joining again, and I'm excited to talk to everyone today.
Great, thank you. So I'm gonna basically share my screen. We're gonna pick out a few parts of the match. It's not going to be a good idea to be watching lots and lots of squash in a row here, partly because the playback can be slow, but also I think really what everybody wants to do here is get some conversation with Mohamed, and hear him talk about things and kind of relate that to the squash. So I will now share my screen. If there's any real major issues, if you can tell me in the chat, that will help. So I'm gonna get this one up, and you should hopefully all see this. And optimize screen share video clip. Okay, so we are in a little bit into the first game here. So as I said, I want to show you some sort of bites of the match all the way through, and then just ask Mohamed really how he was feeling and get any kind of deeper insights into what was going on. Just before we do that, it would be great, Mohamed, if you could just give us a little bit of maybe background of what this match meant to you, and how you were feeling going into it.
Yeah, of course, anytime I play Ali is always going to be a unique match, because I know he will. If I have to beat him, I'll have to play more than more than I know how to play, because he's a very unique player. And on the when he was just when after he just won Chicago, I knew he was on a good form. So I knew that if there is a good day to beat him, I would like to beat him when he's playing well. So there was a good time for me to play him as well. But it's always I always enjoy playing battles with him, because he's actually when we both play against each other, we always like play raise each other game, and it was great to be back again, definitely, with him.
Thank you, that's great. So I've just picked up 2 all in the first game here. I mean, there were so many good rallies in this match, but this one in particular I think was a nice example of just the sort of quality of squash, and maybe quite a key phase for you. So we're just going to start off with this rally to open things up, and then I'll just ask for a little bit of feedback from you, Mohamed, on this stage of the match, and perhaps your tactics of how you were playing.
Farag unleashing a bit there, not finding the nick. Good pressure from Shorbagy. There's the grunt. There's a great rally, immaculate rally, polished by Farag. Good pressure there, Lee.
It was a great rally, great retrieval from Farag going into the back corners there, but he'll have taken a great deal of confidence from this shot, El Shorbagy.
So just on that rally, Mohamed, it was a great rally. It's relatively early on in the match.
I mean,
can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Just the way you put the rally together there, I think was a really good example of many things you were doing tactically. Can you give us a bit of an insight into perhaps your tactics maybe with Ali, but also how you were kind of feeling and how things were going at this sort of early stage tool in the first game?
I think as much as when you watch a rally like this, it's easy from the outside to think that I controlled this rally and I was sending Ali back and forth. But I think this rally just shows how great Ali of a player he is, and how hard I had to actually win this rally. Had to work to win this rally. Like against any other, like against him, I won this rally probably 4 times. And I played so many winners, and he kept getting it back and getting one after another, and to win a match against him, you have to do that every rally, not just in one rally in the match. And watching it right now, thinking it is actually really hard to win a point against him. And that's why when I said just before that if you want to beat, like for me to beat Ali, I know that I have to play squash that I know that I have in me. So that's why that it's always challenging and exciting playing him, and I think this rally showed that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we watched a bit of Tom Ford playing last week in this same event, actually, in a similar format to this, kind of match analysis. We were discussing the variations of pace and just different shots. In this rally, I think you held the ball 3 times in a row there from the front court. Is that something that you would do with everyone, or something that was maybe a bit more specific to this match under those circumstances?
I think it's something that all of us at the top, especially, we all do. We all have a hold in our swing.
I also think
to hit our shot because it's if you keep just hitting at one pace, really, it's quite easy to read. So you want to gain a little bit of an advantage, maybe by having that hold before you hit every. You don't want to do it before. You don't want to overdo it, obviously, but it's very important in these big matches, especially, that you have that in your swing, and to know how to hold the ball and go short, hold the ball and go long, and know when to do each time, when to do it, and at different times.
Definitely. Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, we're going to move a little bit further forward in the game here. We're going to get to a bit deeper into this first. Where are we? 31-10.
So you can just see Farag starting to find that rhythm around the middle of the court.
Oh my goodness. That was a great shot. So impressed with the first get from Farag front right, where he goes in like a praying mantis there. And then just getting caught cleverly by Shorbagy. No smile from Shorbagy. Business now. Back end of this first game, crucial part, all the hard work being done. So we'll let that unfold. He's maintained a 2-point lead quite consistently, hasn't he, throughout this first?
And he knows exactly how important that is. Staying on top of the scoreboard. Ali Farag is going to put some exceptional squash together. He is going to win some big rallies. But so long as El Shorbagy is ahead on the scoreboard, he's always going to put that doubt into Farag's mind.
And clever use of height from Shorbagy, stretching out Farag.
Farag's accuracy has definitely improved though in the midsection of this first game. Getting the ball closer to the sidewall, deep in the back corners.
Yeah, see it. Shorbagy can hear the racket clanking, just stayed in.
And these are hard movements for Shorbagy. He's really pushing forward, trying to take the ball early. But when Farag gets the ball past him, they're really, really tough movements.
Oh, he's stretching in nicely here, Farag. This is a good part of the match now. Again, Farag's tee position getting more
great shot.
Down. Oh, not far in it. Shorbagy had the opportunity there. What a rally.
So I picked that one out, Mohamed, because obviously we also have to show Ali winning some rallies.
Yeah, you have to show Ali torturing me in a rally.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah. I mean I can remember many of these rallies, and that one in particular being kind of one that stood out. Watching it, thinking, "Ouch!" You know, this is not what we want. Can you give us, as you say, torturing there? Give us a bit of an insight, maybe particularly that rally in that game, how you thought at the end of it. You know, you got on the end of what Ali does, you know, so well, just kind of weave that web of pressure, and then, you know, eventually sort of squeeze an error out of you where you hit the tin. What was your sort of first thought after the end of that rally? What was your sort of mental response?
Well, the thing about mental performance and mental preparation before big matches like this, and how vital they are, is to get you ready for situations like what I just went through right now before that rally. Mm. If I didn't prepare mentally after this rally, the first thought I would have had in my mind after, he had me physically, he had me mentally, he had the advantage, he had the momentum, because he was really giving me a hard time in that rally. I was getting every ball back, and I still didn't want to. And you know, after long rallies like this, if you end up winning them, you know, it takes a little bit, a lot of pressure away. But especially after when you lose it, it hits you even it hits you even more. Absolutely. And that's so coming back to that mental preparation. So before I played the match, hopefully the part of that mental preparation is me knowing that for me to win today, I have to prepare to go through hell at times during the match, and that and that I accept that there are times that Ali is gonna torture me in some rallies, but accept that after he tortures me in those rallies, that I have to stand strong, show a strong body language, and be ready to go through them again, because there was only one way for me to win, is to go through them and accept that I'm gonna go through them, and just have to go through them basically without giving up, and fighting through them. And before that match, I knew I wanted to try to give myself the best shot, but that was a big rally in the first game, because the first game was very important. I was 8-6 up, and after he won that rally, he came back to 7-8, and I could see in his eyes his accuracy got better, and he was getting back at me. He was starting to play at a higher pace. His tee position was higher. He was volleying everywhere, and it was hard to get in front of him as well. So, but there was one thing I was not doing is I know I made an error in that rally, but he still had to play many winners in the same rally to win that rally. So I had to make him work for it as well. I didn't give it to him easy. So what I made sure that if he was going to win one rally, he had to work for it as well at the same time.
No, that's great. Thanks so much. I mean, there'll be no question there'll be a huge kind of mix of people listening to this and watching this, and it's obviously so helpful and so valuable. But for anyone of any level, junior or senior or beginner or whatever, just having these key insights into the mental side and just that concept that you're saying there, that you've already kind of prepared yourself for the most difficult things before you've gone on the court. You've already gone through that in your mind. And I suppose, you visualized it to some extent. So when it does happen, it isn't, as you say, quite so much a shock, and the response is more positive. So, I mean, just that in itself is such a valuable lesson for so many players that we probably don't think about actually. That mental preparation being something which is part of the match before, I suppose. So that's great. Thank you. We'll move on.
Brilliant.
A little bit further now. So I'm just going to move through to just the end of the first game now, actually. As you said, this first game being such a key mental statement, and 36-45, and just so important to be able to try to secure. So it's going to do it from kind of 9-8 here. We can watch this one.
Oh, it's well played. His legs were... feet were going like the clappers. That was a good shot selection from Shorbagy.
It was. He just held the ball just long enough to get Farag going down his left-hand shoulder there, and just put the boast around just out of the reach. Another massive rally there from El Shorbagy, giving him 2-game ball.
Well, if Shorbagy converts, confidence will only grow from the beast. There's the error from Farag. There's the error, Mohamed El Shorbagy.
So as you said there, Mohamed, like securing that first game, so key. I suppose the question there really is, again, what was your sort of first thought? I mean, we can see obviously, your fist kind of fish clenched there, feeling good, feeling positive, really happy with that result, the first game. Also, Ali hitting a tin on that last shot. Was that an extra factor, or what was your sort of first response at the conclusion to that rally?
I mean, as I said, the first game was very, very important. I think the last time when we played at the US Open, and he won the first game quite easy. And so I thought that if he's gonna win the first game today, I'm gonna make him really, really work hard for it. Even if I lose it, I need to give a strong message in that first game that if he's gonna take me down, it's gonna be very, very hard. Of course, winning the first game was a big bonus. So when I was 10-8 up, and then he hit that 10. That was the first kind of weak error he gave me that game, really.
Yeah.
Because that was a pretty weak error to give a 10-8 in the first, at the end of a game, definitely. And that's the time when I told myself, okay, this is a time in between game. I need to gather my thought, and I need to start the second very, very strong here.
Yeah.
And that's exactly not what I did. That's exactly not what I did.
Yeah.
I won the first point. And then, but you see, he responded very strong at the beginning of the second game. The reason of why I told myself between games I need to respond even stronger at the beginning of the second, because when you play with a player like Ali, you know that he's gonna come back in the second game, knowing that he cannot be 2 love down today.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna put myself into him. I would never want to be 2 love down to Ali.
No.
So I knew he was gonna throw everything at me in that second game. So I thought, okay, if I can push hard with him in that second game and win it while he's giving everything, that's me getting into him mentally. But obviously I couldn't. Because there are times when he plays very fast, he gets in front of me, I just can't match him. That's when you just raise your hand up. Sometimes just say too good.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you. I'm just going to go through.
Gets his focus bang on for the beginning of this match. Best squash we've seen from Shorbagy for quite some time as well, in my book.
As you would have liked.
Oh, Shorbagy holds in.
So worth mentioning as well at this point, for those of you that haven't seen this match or watched it and maybe forgot, Ali was 10-6 up in this game. And it was quite an unusual situation where you played it both from the back, Mohamed, I think, didn't you? And sorry, let's get this off. Yeah, you played it both from the back of the court at 10-6 down. And I don't think you even ran for it, if that was right. And it just...
Yeah, I thought it was going down, yeah.
Yeah, the ball just went up. Ali thought it was going to go down. Everybody thought it was going to go down. And it actually was a kind of lifeline, because then you proceeded to come all the way back to 10-all when you were pretty much walking out the door at 10-6 down. So at this stage, Ali's 11-10 up. Just going to watch this rally, get a bit of feedback from you on this one.
Looks like a routine.
It's an unbelievable rally.
Oh, it's a belter. It's a belter. Spider-Man threading through the bow snick, which is torturous to play against. It's a very frustrating shot when you see the ball flying away.
So, as I said, yeah, from a position where it looked like it was all over at 10-6, you've then clawed your way back to 10-all, played some great squash, and almost, got back into a position where you could have snuck that game from the sort of jaws of defeat almost. What was your thoughts there? So you obviously made a great comeback, but then Ali managed to squeeze it 12-10, played some great squash in that last run in particular to kind of take the game away. So it's now 1-all. I'm sort of showing these latter parts of games and key points to help, I suppose, give people the sort of deepest insights as to the big moments, I suppose. So if you could sort of share with us, how you felt here, what, was then the response next at this stage, 1-all.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I was 10-6 down in that game and then came back to 10-all, and then I was 2 points away from 2 love up, and it was a great position to be in. And then it's not just after losing the game we were 1-all, but it's the way he won that last point with that boast. That boast, it's not just a normal shot you can win a rally with. It's actually damaging mentally. This boast, the way you could win a game this way, can damage your opponent mentally. And these are the kind of the mental the thing that the tactics, the hidden tactics on court, like that post was very clever tactic from Ali to be. He chose that post at exactly that time to hit it, because he knew how damaging mentally, if he gets it right, how damaging mentally could be that for his opponent. And that's why, and he's the only player on tour right now when I play who thinks like this, and who is very calculated in when he chooses his winners, and that's why when I play him, as I said, I have to bring something different to my game. But after, I got really frustrated, as you could see even in my body language when I was walking out. But then when I sat down relaxed, I was in my head, I was, if Steffi, even if you remember when we were talking, like I was I started to get myself positive again. You know, we were like, no, we're here for a fight today. You know, if I'm gonna beat Ali, you know, it's not gonna be easy. You know, I have to come back and be positive and strong. And if I'm gonna lose, it's not gonna be easy at the end. So I don't want it to be easy today. And so I came back, and I think we had a very strong third game. I remember all the way till midway through it. Yeah. But he looked definitely stronger than me in the third game. Physically, he did look in a better shape than me in the third. And I think he was like 5-3 up or something, or 4-3 up, 4-3 up, I think. And then in the third, I remember all I kept telling myself, just stay with him. Just don't let him. He was always 1 or 2 points ahead. Even if he looked better, I also told myself, just stay with him. Just be only 1 point away. Just be 2 points away. Always keep myself interested. You know, just stay in with him. Stay in, and then he gave me a few errors here and there in the third. And once I got that lead, 2 points, I told myself, okay, when you have a lead, you either stretch the lead and try, which is risky, or protect the lead. When you're tired, try to stretch the lead is when you go for the winner. And that's what I did in that third, because I wanted to finish him off. But if I was physically in a better condition, protecting the lead is going through harder rallies, longer rallies, play at a different type of squash. But anyways, that's different. But yeah, definitely once I got that lead in the third, I tried to. I did not want to be 2-1 down, definitely, because I knew I could. My chances to win was very, very minimal if I went 2-1 down that day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really very insightful. And just to go back very briefly to what you just said there, that shot, that 3-wall boast, Nick, what is it about that shot particularly that's so damaging mentally? Like, I mean, I understand it, but just perhaps for the audience, what does it say to you, that shot?
Well, it's basically, well, you would never play a shot like this unless you're really confident. So he was playing a shot like this to tell me, I'm 1 love down, but I'm still confident I'm gonna come back and win that match. And that's the kind of thing that can damage your opponent mentally when you win up, not just 1 normal point, but the game winner in a tie break. It can be really damaging, but he was just showing me that he's not fazed by the occasion, by that he's 1 love down and in a tie break in the second. And that's the sign of a true champion, because I would have done exactly the same to him.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. No, that completely makes sense. Okay, fantastic. So
you get there, and it
just towards the end of the third now. This is, as you said, again, another very, very key moment. We've got
ball weary, and he's just used his squash to get himself back into this with 4 game balls for a 2-1 lead, Lee. Can't be leaving balls like that, Farag. He's got to be a little bit tighter. Baggy looking so dangerous. Oh, he's given up on that one. Ali Farag literally gives up on that one. Asking for a new ball.
So a couple of things there that, are really interesting, especially after what you just said. the end of the second, where Ali's showing such confidence with that 3-all boast nick, showing that, you know, he's there for the long haul. And then at the end of that game, you know, as you said, you played well in that game, kept a good lead, won it relatively conclusively, 11-6. What did you feel again at the end of this one? Big step forward, of course, to go 2-1, but also that rally in particular.
Think about that, when I worked my way up really hard to go and put myself into a 10-6 position, and there was two things which were different. The way he ended up the first game and the third game, it may look very similar, giving a cheap error at the end of the first. But in that third game, it may look like he's given up, but that was someone who was gathering his thoughts for a big fourth and a fifth game. Sure. And it did, for someone, when you play someone like him, there is no way I was going to be thinking Ali is giving up here. Literally, the first thing he did once that rally was over, he asked for a change of ball. He was already thinking, how am I going to be thinking about winning the fourth and fifth? Yeah. And I obviously, and it wasn't a time for me to relax, because changing the ball was actually not to my advantage. And if you remember, Harian, when he changed the ball, when I went to speak to him between games, I was so frustrated and so angry that he changed the ball.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, it wasn't the rule. He could, of course.
Yeah.
And it was definitely the right tactic from him.
Yeah.
I definitely at that time needed that ball, and I needed to have shorter rallies. But that's coming back to that mental preparation again before the match. I told myself I need to go through hell today, and I knew if I needed to do it. I told myself after the third game, I have 11 more points to win. He has 22 more points to win. So I was trying to make it look as easy, as close as possible. I was trying to make the win as close as possible to me, and as far as possible for him. That's the time when it's so easy to look at the negatives, but you have to always look at the positives.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, excellent.
Okay. So Ali,
we're going to move forward to game ball to Ali. Where are we? So this is really right in the, perhaps most exciting period of the match. I was going to watch this one and then give us a bit of feedback. So actually, sorry, just before we go here. So, suddenly we have 10-9 game ball for Ali to take it into a fifth. As you said earlier, you weren't looking forward to that reality of a fifth game. So you're 10-9 down, he's playing very well. I'm sure, I know at this stage, it was definitely hurting you, and I'm sure him as well, but certainly hurting. And you put a great rally together here. We're going to watch it first, actually, and then get your feedback on it.
Oh, he sent it the wrong way. It was a loose ball, though.
That's obviously a great shot and a great way to get back to 10-all and get yourself really back in the business. Did you have a thought in that rally in particular that you were going to look for an opportunity and then take it, or did that opportunity just kind of occur and you hit it at the time? What was your sort of tactic? 10-9 match ball, obviously you've got to get it dead right. 1 chance, 10-9 game ball, 1 chance. What was your thoughts there?
Yeah, I remember I was really, really close to exhaustion at that time, and I was 9-7 up, and if you don't take chance when you play Ali, if you're 2-1 up and 9-7 up, and you don't take that chance, you're not gonna get many chances like this with him. And if you waste that chance, then you're in big trouble. And the same to go if you play me too. If you waste a chance like that against me, I'm gonna be thank you and definitely use it, and not gonna lose the match after. And I knew if I was gonna waste that chance, I'm in big trouble today. He came back at 10-9, and that's the time when you know that if you have to beat him, you have to do something special, because if he's gonna go down, he's not gonna go down easy. The hardest time to beat someone like me or Ali is when we both when we both are in trouble in a match. That's when we are harder to play, because that's when we're gonna make you work way harder than normal to win a rally of us. And that's the time when I knew that it wasn't going to be easy to win a rally against him, because he was in trouble. He needed to win the fourth. He had no choice, and I had to do something special. And for me to do that, I had to go for winners. And that's the only time I could have won a rally against him at the time. And that's when I went for winners more than normal. It wasn't actually because I was tired, because I'm okay with playing when I'm tired, because I can always push through tiredness. I was doing that. I've done that a lot in my career. But the reason I went for shots, not because I was tired, but it was more of a tactical plan. Sure. Because it was what required to do at the time, and it was a risky plan because I could have hit the 10. And I started using that tactic from when I was 9-7 up, and that's why I do two errors at that time. But that's when you can't go negatives. Not because I did 2 errors that mean that I have to change the tactic. If you have a tactic in your head, you have to believe in it, because you have part of that mental preparation again is actually going through the match before it even starts, and to prepare yourself for situations like this. So I knew exactly at that time that's what I needed to do before the match, and not because I made errors. I would have had to change the tactic. I needed to keep believing in what I planned before the match, and luckily it paid off. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Right, well, we're going to move to the very last period here of the match, and just really get just enjoyable. I've watched this back a couple of times since we've been in lockdown to cheer myself up. Actually, bring it back a little bit more. Where are we? So
it's a poor width.
It is a poor width. And to be fair, Shorbagy did just step back to the tee. I'm not sure he went too far into Farag's line there.
I didn't see him do anything really there. It was just a bad width from Farag.
Oh,
he's made the error. He's made the error. He's made the error. That width went unpunished, but it's punished Farag.
Well, he's going to be lucky to get away with that, I think.
So Mohamed El Shorbagy serving with his second championship ball here in London.
Big chance. He's gone for it.
Here's comes back though. Shorbagy's bounding around again. This is where his another release of adrenaline's going in. He's looking strong on the ball. He's hit the tin. He's walloped the tin. Shorbagy's done it. Shorbagy's done it. Ali Farag walloping the tin. Mohamed El Shorbagy managing to stave off a 5th game. I don't think he'd have been able to do the 5th game in terms of this quality, but it doesn't matter, because he manages to convert 15-13 in the 4th with Ali Farag. A very, very nail-biting ending to it all.
So yeah, obviously incredible match, and just on that finish there, Mohamed, I mean, I'm sure you can still remember it fresh in your mind even after, a few weeks since then. What was your first thought when Ali hit the 10 for you to win the match?
I don't know. I was shocked, to be honest, because he made 2 quick errors at the end of the match, and they came out of nowhere. And normally at that time, it's gonna be even harder for me to win a rally against him, and it stayed harder for me to win the match. And then he gave me those 2 easy errors at the end. Obviously, they were surprising for me, but at the same time, we were both really tired at the end. He was doing definitely a better job at hiding it than me. I definitely did look more exhausted.
Yeah.
But that's what happens, it's when you get tired, sometimes mentally, at the end we're both really exhausted, and sometimes you can misjudge a shot or a bounce of a ball, and it's out of your hand sometimes. But at that time, he was doing more work than me, even though that I was doing more running, but he was doing more focus, mental work than me, because he was 2-1 down, and he knew he didn't have a chance, he didn't have a choice, and he needed to win that game, and that could take a lot out of you mentally. So I guess it was my guess that he made those errors because of that. But after the match finished, obviously we knew what the moment the match was over, when we looked at each other, we knew that we produced something special on the day. The match, we produced a special match, and we both knew that we produced a high quality. And to be honest, I actually haven't been.
Sorry.
And to be honest, I haven't been part of a big match like that probably since my big matches with Greg and Rami. Me and Ali have produced a lot of big matches, but I think that was our biggest match together in terms of performance. I think we played a really, really big match together in Qatar once, I think 2 years ago. But I think this one is more special because this time we are both 1 and 2 in the world, and I think it did kind of fit that the two best players in the world have a big match together in a final of a big event. So it was nice to be part of it.
Oh, 100%. It was incredible match. Just finally, I suppose, just on Ali and this match as well. What is it about Ali that makes him a legend of the sport, but a kind of true champion? You talked about Greg, these rivals you've had, Nick, Matthew, Rami, and Ali. What is it about him that I suppose is different and particular that makes him so special?
His character. We both are different characters, but we are similar at the same time. But his character, very clever guy and very calculated person. Just the way he plays in terms of a squash player, I can say a lot of great things about him as a squash player, but that's the easy stuff, to be honest. You can train hard and you can get better as a squash player, but that's not really what it takes you to the top. It's always your character, the way you prepare, the way you learn, your mental preparation, the mental side of sports, really what takes you to be special, and that's what Ali has. And that's why, I even before, when he was coming up the rankings, I used to always tell my parents and my team, Ali would be the one. And if you remember, I'm saying my team, and I forget that we're talking right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember I always told you, Steffi, even when he was going up, I always told you, if I want to be at the top at some point, this is the guy that we're going to challenge each other at the top for quite a while. And I've played everyone, and I've seen other players who are really great, and they can win tournaments here and there. But this is not what it takes you to challenge the world #1 ranking. It takes you consistency, and that's what Ali. I knew when I saw him play that he's the guy who will have that, and I wanted that, and I loved that, because after the Greg and Nick and that generation, got older, I kind of, there was a period where there was no one really. I was at the top. It was great, but that's the period where she was supposed to be me and Rami really together there. But that's when Rami was injured, and whenever he was back, it was always great. I remember whenever we went to train Steffi, our sessions were always different. We need to do something different because we knew that we need to do something special for Rami.
Yeah.
And then when Rami was not there was no one really, because then Nick and Greg Nelson were getting older, and then Ali, but we knew that Ali was coming, and it was great because it made me train better. It made us work in different things, and he makes squash looks really easy on court while I make it look tough. So that's why when we play each other, we bring something different tactics on each other, and it makes we both improve. He definitely, when he took the world number one from me last year, he took it on a season where I actually didn't play bad, but he didn't lose one tournament before the semi-final, I think, something like that. And that's the time when I was like, fair enough, I would have probably normally been world number one if I made these results in other seasons, but someone produced something special against me, and hands up, he was far better than me at the time, and that's when I needed to respond. And we know that he's going to respond back, obviously, at some point, and that's what we want him to do, and that's when we're going to work on trying to respond again.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. No, it's just such a valuable lesson for everyone listening, especially for young players. I mean, we'll get some questions in a second, but this response that you're talking about, when somebody comes through, a new player, the next threat, the next Ali or whoever, it's how you respond to those people, and that's down to your character and down to your courage to accept when someone is doing something better than you, and then go away and figure it out. And for a lot of us, sometimes that's too much to cope with, and we just hope that they don't get so good and they go away. And obviously one of your strengths is, Mac's major strengths, is just being that actual enjoyment of that enjoyment of somebody coming through that pushes you to get better. And it's it's something really, really special. So let's just return to the kind of main screen here, and we've got an opportunity now for any questions. Can you see the chat, Mohamed? I don't know if you can click on it, you'll see the chat coming up, and we can just take any questions from people at this stage. Just mute so yeah, if anybody's got any questions, you can use the chat now. Are you able to see the chat, Mo? Okay, can you hear me again, man? Mohamed?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, back. Sorry, I muted you with Scribble.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you see the chat?
Yeah, how am I managing to train at home? Well, I actually bought a bike before. I bought a bike and got a few weights here and there. But I think the moment right now is, for me, is just to stay fit. I can't even remember the last time. It never ever happened in my life where I wake up one day knowing that I have no opponent having one extra session over me. So instead of actually being waking up every morning early, training really, really hard, so why can't I train my mind and wake up and actually just relax the mind for a period and just enjoy the planet, like the nature, and just sit and relax? I think that's something that we don't really explore, trying to take care of our brain. But at the same time, I'm going for a run here and there, doing some core training, just trying to stay fit. And once we know when the season starts, I'm not sure when we're gonna start, and but at least we have another 4 or 5 months, and I think I'm gonna have enough time to actually be under a program. But for now, I think it's important for everyone to just stay fit and just do sports and enjoy doing sports.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you're so right about the mental side in this stage. It's great to hear you say that you're using this time to appreciate things that perhaps you wouldn't have the time to do normally, and using it in a positive way. Do you want to grab any other of these questions, Mo?
What's my hardest match? I think probably that match I played with Ali was one of the hardest matches, definitely. I think that's one. But of course, there were a lot of hard matches I played with Greg, Rami. But it's just any time you play against any of these guys, it's always gets harder each time, to be honest.
Who is your best sparring partner? It's a controversial one.
Sorry?
Who is your best sparring partner?
I'll keep that to myself. separates the top 5 on the world from everyone else on tour? I think the mental side definitely of the game. I think the mental side of the game is what separates these top guys from the rest. It's the mental consistency to be able to finish one tournament, to go for another hard one, and to do it over consistent tournament, and then do it from one tournament to another, and then do it from one season to another. That's always the hardest thing in sports, is actually the consistency, because every phase in your career you have to do it differently. Because your body is always different. Your body at 22 is different than 29, than 25. So every phase in your career, you have to train differently, know your body. So at least who stay at the top for a long time, they would have had to understand how to deal with these things and still find a way to stay on top.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, Steffi, do you want to pick one?
One, yeah. So this is quite an interesting one. I mean, not easy to answer, but what makes you so mentally strong, and how did you gain that strength?
I think I don't know. Actually, I think it's just I've always trained hard. I've always been committed to what I do. I've sacrificed a lot as well. As a junior, especially, I've sacrificed a lot. I remember in the summer, I've had a lot of friends who would go to the beach and stuff. I've always been training, not doing much other than just the only thing I knew was to go and train. Really, to go to the squash course. And I think because I did that as a junior, I became strong mentally. But I think I don't know. I just I've always been willing to do what it takes to get to the top and to stay there and to win tournaments. And when the moment I win a tournament, the first thing that comes to my thought, when is the next one? Because for me, if I enjoyed a win of a tournament, then this means that I've lost hunger. That's the way mentally I am. While other players need to enjoy their win so they can stay hungry for their next one. So everyone needs to do it differently. But for me, I've always been, when I finish a tournament, if I won it, great, the trophy, everything. But the plan is to try and win every single possible tournament of the season, which obviously I can't. I try, but I can't. But that was always my mentality. What's next? What's the next tournament? When is the next match? No break here. I just want to win the next title, and there was only one way forward for me. No time to look what happened in the last match. Obviously to learn, but not let it affect me mentally that in a negative way for the next match or the next tournament. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. There's one here from Raul from India. What are the major changes you have done to your game in recent times to come back to number one?
I remember, I mean, when I was 22, for example, when I got there, I had to beat someone like, I had to beat Chaban in the final of the US Open. Different squash, different generation, someone who's 12 years older than me. And then I remember Greg started getting back at me, and we're 1-2, and then he took that number one from me for a few months. Because he played me differently. He came back the season back, he played me different. Then I had to respond back to him. Then I remember when I was 26 years old, Gawad came and won the world champ and was playing so different, and he was starting to play more attacking squash. And that's when I needed to improve my defensive game. Started to use more heights, improve my movement, and then Ali came, and that's when I knew these things only are not enough. I need to actually look more into not just improve simple movement, but actually kind of connecting the movement and hitting the shot at the same time. Things that like Hadrian has worked with me a lot, especially in the last period. So every period I have always looked to train differently and know what I needed. to do. It's always, if you stay the same, means going backwards. If you want to stay at the top, because the game keeps changing, keeps improving, players keep getting back at you, and when you stay at the top for a long time, you're being studied and weaknesses are shown out of you more, and that's when you need to respond and improve those weaknesses, and then they find other you being improving. So it ends up actually you being improve. You get to be improved as a squash player because your opponents are finding weaknesses in your game. That's the way I look at it, and that's what kept the momentum going to stay there.
Great, that's really great. Thanks. Do you want to pick the last couple, Mohamed, in this list? A lot of good questions, actually.
What book can you? I'll answer two. There is one. One which is good. What book can you recommend for mental work for players? Relentless. I think you should read this book. It's a great book. How do I deal with nerves going into big matches? That's a good question, actually. So in big matches, you will get nervous before it. I remember a situation where I had to play Rami at the final of the British Open. And every time me and Rami had to play each other, it was always very different. Not of just the match vibe, everyone in the world waiting for us to play against each other. It's always, there was always a big media around our matches, which made it great for the fans. But for me and Rami, it put these kind of things put way more pressure on the players. And I remember going into that final, I was shaking, really, really nervous. Once I arrived to the venue, my brother came that day from Bristol to watch with some of our friends, and then I went to my brother and I told him, "Can you come with me?" And then we went to the changing room. It's a small. Each player I had my own changing room. Every player had so. So it was just me and my brother in the changing room, sitting in front of each other. And then I looked at him. He looked worried. He didn't know what I needed him for. And that was literally 45 minutes before the match started. And I looked at him, and then I told him, "I am scared, shaking. I can't walk, can't smile. I can't act like myself. I feel like once I go on court, I'm not going to be able to hit one shot. I'm going to forget about how I can even play squash." And then my brother started to relax me. Then he told me, just relax. The moment you're gonna go on court, you're gonna be completely fine, because it's normal. Like if you told me that you were not nervous, then you wouldn't have been human. You're a human being before being an athlete, and it's so normal. Anyone in your situation would have been nervous, but you train. You always showed me that you come back every day to train because you want to be in big moments like this. So go out there and do your thing. And the way that, the reason of why I took my brother to that changing room is because at that time, every single word will matter into your brain. And the reason of why I took my brother, because he's probably the most person who can understand me. And I needed someone who knows exactly what to tell me. I could have, if someone else told me, "No, you don't need to be nervous today. You don't need to be feeling under pressure. Just take it like any other match." These are the words that actually don't help you, because it will make you feel great for 5 minutes. But the moment you go on court, you're gonna come back and feel nervous. And because you did not prepare mentally for it, you'll feel even more nervous because you thought that you were not nervous before the match anymore. But actually, if you tell yourself you're nervous and your brother is telling you, it's normal that you're going to be nervous, because that's part of it basically, then you're prepared for those nerves during the match. And because you're prepared for those nerves, then there is a way of playing when you're nervous. And that's when I got on court, it didn't surprise me that I felt nervous from the first point. So for me, you can never ever hide away from the nerves or the pressure, but you can deal with them. And if you want to stay there at the top for a very long time, you better know how to deal with them, or you will be taken out very easy by every single player on tour.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for all your questions, everyone. And obviously, thank you again, Mohamed, for taking your time to answer these. And got people just joining now, a little bit late. Finally, if you could perhaps just finish with just a message for the juniors. I know for a fact there's a lot of juniors on this from all over the place, from Russia, UK, Ireland, and around the world. So just any, I suppose, any messages to those juniors who, want to take this sport as far as they can, and they're at the beginning of the journey that obviously you started as well. What would be your advice to these young players?
Yeah, I mean, as a junior, it's important to actually just know that your junior time is the time you're gonna learn. It's important that you learn as much as possible, because every single point you're gonna play, every single shot you're gonna hit in training is something different you're gonna learn. Just enjoy the process, and to know that the reason of why you're playing the sport is because you love it. So even when you go for tournaments and you lose and it becomes hard, and just remember that the reason of why you took up a squash racket in your hand in the first place is because you love the sport, not because you want to go for a match and be annoyed or any of this, because at the junior you just want to learn as much as possible. And then hopefully if you're lucky enough and get to the professional one at some point, is when you lose. It's completely fine and acceptable if you want to get annoyed at yourself.
That's great. That's great advice. Great advice. Brilliant. Okay, everyone. I think we've got a huge amount of value out of that. Fantastic. Thank you again, Mohamed, for your time and insights. I'm just going to very briefly unmute everybody so you can kind of all say out loud thank you to Mohamed and wave goodbye. If you want to switch your videos on now as well, you can. Thank you all for being on online, and hope you enjoyed that. There he is.
Just one more thing, guys. I'll just tell you guys one more quick story. So sorry,
hang on, Mo. I was going to unmute you. Okay. Yeah. You're back
so
on.
I just want to tell you guys just one quick story just before you guys leave. Can you guys see this? That didn't happen because I was playing squash last night. That was because I woke up at night and to go to the toilet, and I forgot that I didn't see that my door was shut. So I walked straight into my door when I was leaving.
We all do it.
And that's to end the conversation with today, guys. Thanks, guys, for joining, and I really enjoyed talking to you guys, and hopefully we can do this again, because it's important that we all keep getting involved with each other and get in touch. Thanks, guys, for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mohamed.
Guys, thank you.
Thanks, Mohamed. Thanks, Adrian. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank
it's
you,
great.
everyone.
Fantastic.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thanks. See you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Shukran,
Mohamed. Thank you,
Thanks, guys.
Adrian.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining. Thank you. Wow.